Alright, what's going on everybody? It's Coach Matt doing another video analysis session. This is Kiana. Kiana's coach Mike Rhodes had sent in this video, and it is a glide shot video. So we're going to take a quick look at this here. And like all the other video analysis that I do, really I'm not trying to pick everything apart and take a look at every last little detail and say, alright, well, her left pinky toe was not pushing pressure down. It's really not what these are about. We're looking at big things. So what are just a couple of big things that Kiana can work on to improve her glide? A lot of times I think what athletes and coaches have to realize is you can't major in the minors. You have to make sure that you correct the big stuff first. And then the big stuff, a lot of times, if it's fixed, is going to help to correct the little things without even trying. So something that's very little is going to be, for example, what's a good little thing that happens in the glide? So a good little thing that happens in a glide is maybe the athlete's landing in the back half of the circle. That's kind of a big thing, but a lot of times what can happen is if you fix some stuff in the back of the circle, all of a sudden it's easier for them to land more in the front half of the circle. So if you have an athlete that's gliding and their foot is still landing in the back half, they're only gliding back maybe 12 inches, 18 inches, and they need to go 3 feet this way. A lot of times you look at the rest of their body and say, well, look how you're positioned, look how you're starting. Let's fix that first. And then once that's fixed, it'll usually help to correct the other thing as well. So when you coach, you have to make sure you look to fix the big things first, and you always start, once they understand how to do the full throw, the full technique, whatever, if that's, glide, rotation, discus, javelin, hammer, weight, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you fix from the back of the circle, from the start to the finish. Okay, you're not going to do that with a brand new thrower who's doing a standing throw. Obviously, that's the end of the throw. That's the finish of the throw. You have to fix within the standing throw. But once you're like Kiana and you have the full technique and you're doing the full glide and it looks pretty good, then you have to start to correct from the back of the circle to the front. So let's take a quick look at Kiana. Let's take a look. I'm just going to mute this real quick. Let's take a look at her throw a few times just in full speed. I'm going to see what this looks like. Alright, so right off the bat you can see she looks like a very fast and explosive thrower, which is what we want to see. We want to see somebody who's nice and quick, gets across that circle quickly. But we are seeing a few things here in full speed. At the end of the throw, it definitely looks like she's jumping and throwing. So I'm going to take a look at why she's jumping and throwing without really putting a lot of power into the ground. And one of the things I always talk about is that you want to look like you're pushing the circle down. So for example, we have a athlete, former employee of the gym whose name is Tommy. Tommy's one of the elite collegiate powerlifters in the country, and very shortly will be, when he starts to compete again after a little bit of a nagging injury, will be one of the top competitive powerlifters in the country. Tommy competes around, I think, 183 weight class, 183 pounds. Squats over 600, benches well over 400, deadlifts 5 and change. He can jump through the damn ceiling. He's 181 pounds. He squats 600. It's very easy for someone who squats 600 pounds to jump 183 pounds in the air. But we don't want you to jump your body weight in the air. So I don't want Kiana to jump and throw. I want Kiana to push the circle down into the earth. I want her to try to push the earth down. It's that old Chuck Norris joke. Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the earth down. And that's what we want Kiana to do. But let's take a look and go through this kind of frame by frame here, because this is a .mov, so we can do that. So let's see. Back of the circle looks pretty good. From this angle, it looks like she's a little upright. I'd love to try to see her get her hip a little bit more over her knee. So At this point, if she dropped the shot put, it looks like it would hit outside the circle. I want her to try to get the shot put to land here in the dirt. I want her so far, and she's got to keep this foot flat, but I want her set up a little bit further outside the circle. She's kind of sitting her hips back. It looks like she's almost at the top of a squat right here. She's kind of sitting her hips back a little bit. I like to see the hip a little bit more over the knee. It's going to take practice, but what that's going to do is, the way you start in the back is the way that you will end up in the middle. So if we start with more of her weight back, and if we start with her foot underneath her better, or her hip over the foot better, she's going to land with more weight back, and she's going to land with her foot underneath her hip. If we start her out that way, more than likely she's going to end up that way. So here we go. Does a good job getting low in the back. You can see she does a pretty good job unseating. Little stuff going on here. Here's a little thing, kind of crossing one foot behind the other. I like to see the foot next to, so her right foot would be next to her left heel, her right toe next to the left heel. Little thing that might rear its head at the end, but for right now it's a little thing. Let's work on the big stuff. You can see right here, here's her big thing. So look how tall she stands up. Does a beautiful job pushing off the heel. For people that were asking, should I push off the heel or the toe? The reason you push off the heel is see how she can get her leg fully extended? But the problem here is that she stands straight up. So she goes from this really nicely crouched position in the back of the circle, and then in the middle of the circle, or in the initial push off that left heel, she stands up. So more than likely she's going to be standing up really straight in the middle of the circle. So left foot comes down. Yeah, look how straight up she is, and her right foot isn't even on the ground yet. So more than likely, when this right foot touches the ground, she's going to be either shifted onto her right foot or she's going to be standing up nice and straight. Now, does a beautiful job getting in the front half of the circle. So if you look, the front half of the circle, back half of the circle, there's a drain over here that like divides it front and back. She's in the front half of that circle. She's getting ready to push. She's getting ready to explode. But watch what happens when that right foot touches down. So you can see the shadow right there. Boom. Right foot's on the ground. Yep, already shifted onto her right foot. Already wide open and standing straight up. So let's work backwards. This is what's contributing to the jump and throw as well, because she really doesn't have, all of her weight's already shifted. So the only thing she can really do at this point is just sort of jump in the air and throw. She's not doing a good job turning that power foot, turning the knee and the hip down the middle. Again, her weight's already shifted, so it's going to be impossible really to turn these at this point. So she just jumps and throws. Boop. You can see here, as soon as she loses contact with the ground, she's not able to push the shot any more than she already has. She's not able to put any more speed with her legs. She's not able to extend anymore. So she's just jumping and throwing. So what contributed to this? That's the question I always want to ask. What contributed to this position? Well, she's standing up really tall in the power position. And her weight shifted in the power position. So if she's standing up really tall and her weight shifted in the power position, what caused it? Standing up really tall with her weight shifted in the glide. So if we get more weight behind the left foot, more weight will be behind her left foot. Pretty simple, right? More weight behind her left foot means that there will be more weight behind her left foot in the power position. If we keep her low in the back, she's going to land low in the front. So whatever you do in the back, that's how you're going to end up in the front. It's going to multiply. So if you are really off balance in the discus in the back of the circle, you're going to be really, really off balance at the front of the circle. If you're standing up straight in the glide, you're going to be standing up straight in the power position. If your weight is not all the way back over this power leg in the glide, your weight is really not going to be over the power leg in the power position. So see how whatever mistakes you make in the back are going to multiply when you get to the front of the circle. So a lot of coaches and a lot of athletes will see this and say, oh, she's standing up, her weight's already shifted in the power position, so let's work on the power position. You can't do that. What's causing that to happen, now I guarantee if you just had her get in the circle and do a standing throw, her standing throw probably looks beautiful. But you can see here at the end of her full throw, that beautiful standing throw is non-existent. And that's because she's making it impossible for herself to get into that really nice standing throw, that really nice power position, because of that right there. She's shifting her weight and standing up too tall, and at the front of the circle she's shifting her weight and standing up too tall. So that's what I wanted to use this video for. Glide shot, really just has a few big moving parts. Glide shot is like an old-fashioned seesaw catapult. It's just a fulcrum and a lever. Rotational shot and discus is like the internal combustion engine. It's a lot of teeny tiny moving parts that all have to work together. Glide shot is like a seesaw. It's 2 or 3 parts, and if one thing breaks, the whole thing falls apart. The internal combustion engine, the rotational shot, and discus, if 1 or 2 little things break, you can still get off a good throw. Glide shot, if 1 or 2 things break, the whole thing falls apart. So we got to make sure, keep her lower in the back as she's gliding. Make sure she's not standing up. But first and foremost, let's get her hip more over the knee. Let's get her to flatten her back out and get the hip to go over the heel. The knee might still be in front, but I don't want her hips and her butt to be in between her feet. I want her hip and her butt to be over her ankle, not behind the ankle. That's going to get more mass, more weight behind that left foot, and it's going to get her to land in a much better power position. All right? So I hope this makes sense, a little cause and effect lesson for the day. Again, guys, if you are going to send in videos, make sure to email them directly to me, matt@primalatc.com, and make sure to check out elitethrowscoaching.com for all of your training and coaching and video analysis needs.